The excitement for the 2020 rookies are here. Who's going to end up being a star?
I want to know the 2021 rookie who will have the most electrifying highlights next season.
I'm going with Jamar Chase.
Joe Burrow, Chase Young, Justin Herbert, Tristan Wirfs, and Justin Jefferson were among the 2020 NFL rookies who played like veteran superstars in their first year. So which 2021 rookies are most likely to follow suit and dominate from the get-go? These 10 players feel like the safest bets. Trevor Lawrence. May as well start with the obvious, right? Lawrence, widely heralded as a generational talent, went first overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's just say that the Jaguars have done a pretty good job in building a quality supporting cast around him. Lawrence will get to work with Clemson teammate Travis Etienne after the Jags selected the running back with the number 25 selection in this year's draft. And he'll be backed up by James Robinson, who rushed for over 1,000 yards as an undrafted rookie last season. DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault Jr., and Marvin Jones round out a strong receiving core, which should do well for Lawrence. And even if he commits the typical rookie mistakes, and he will, it's not as if Trevor will flop entirely in year one. There's going to be a lot of magic from this kid. Not saying the Jaguars will be a playoff contender, but Lawrence should be able to hit around 4,500 passing yards and 30-plus touchdowns. Don't be surprised if he earns a Pro Bowl nod in year one. Buy the hype. He's that good. Kyle Pitts. Think of all the tight end greats. Rob Gronkowski, Tony Gonzalez, Ozzie Newsome, Kellen Winslow Sr., Jackie Smith, Shannon Sharp, Antonio Gates. Were any of them hyped as much as Kyle Pitts? The Florida Gators product is so insanely gifted that the Atlanta Falcons just couldn't pass on him with the number 4 selection, even though they had the perfect opportunity to find Matt Ryan's successor. Honestly, you can't blame the Falcons. Pitts and Calvin Ridley give their passing game an impressive young core to work around. These two should help Ryan remain a top-tier quarterback for a few more years. The 6'6" Pitts has the size of a tight end, but the speed and athleticism of a number 1 receiver. This is going to make him virtually impossible to cover in the open field. And if defenses care to double-team Pitts, it'll just leave Ridley and Russell Gage wide open. It'll be a pick-your-poison situation against this Atlanta offense. Lawrence is the easy pick to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, but if you ask us, Pitts will be the greatest challenger. This kid is going to change everything in Atlanta. Jamar Chase. Many fans, scouts, and prognosticators wanted the Bengals to go with Penei Sewell at number 5 overall, but the front office didn't want to pass on the chance to reunite Joe Burrow with his former LSU wide receiver. It's understandable. Given Chase's incredible skill set, there's little doubt in our minds that he'll be a huge difference maker for Burrow and company. Sure, the Bengals already have T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd at receiver, but you can't have too many pass catchers. And few guys in the NFL display the all-around skill set and athleticism of Chase. We're definitely concerned about the offensive line, even if you're going to pass on Sewell. The Bengals should have done more in free agency with that issue, but that's all for another day. Burrow and Chase absolutely embarrassed defenses in college. Why can't they do the same in the NFL? The presence of Higgins, Boyd, and Joe Mixon will really open up the field more for Chase, allowing his connection with Burrow to take off immediately. The future hasn't been this bright in Cincinnati since probably ever. Quitty Pay. Few teams have drafted as well as Indianapolis Colts GM Chris Ballard. When he sees talent that other teams overlook, he goes out and gets it. Look no further than recent draft picks like Darius Leonard, Brandon Smith, and Jonathan Taylor. In the Ballard-Frank Reich regime, the Colts have done a grade A job in quickly developing their young players. Leonard, for instance, went from a sleeper to one of the NFL's most dominant game-wrecking defensive players. So we're surely not doubting their ability to maximize the talents of Quitty Pay right now. He wasn't supposed to be available to Indianapolis when they picked in the 21st slot, but the Michigan defensive end somehow fell down the draft board, right into the laps of the Colts. The Colts needed an edge rusher to complement Leonard and all-pro defensive tackle DeForest Buckner. Only the Los Angeles Chargers had a lower blitz rate than the Colts last season. You have to think that Matt Eberflus will be more aggressive with Pay patrolling the edge now. Pay is in a great spot to produce immediately, with Buckner and Leonard anchoring the front 7. Double-digit sacks isn't out of the question, and he could very well find himself in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Needless to say, this Colts defense is going to be a lot of fun to watch in 2021, unless your team is playing against them. Christian Barmore. The New England Patriots traded up to draft the Alabama defensive tackle with the number 38 selection. He was widely projected to be a first-round pick, but of course he fell to the Patriots. Why does this always happen to Bill Belichick? That dude has all the luck. as always. Anyway, he is one of the most NFL-ready defensive players from this draft class. The 6'4", 310-pound monster will slot in nicely on the defense that's managed by only the greatest head coach ever. Belichick has a long and successful history of developing young defensive players right away. Chandler Jones, Jamie Collins, Dante Hightower, J.C. Jackson, Devin McCourty, Vince Wilfork, Richard Seymour, and, it keeps going on. He joins a defense that is usually right around the top 5 in both scoring and yards. He should be a run-stopping force in a front 7 that includes Hightower and free agent pickup Matthew Judon. Run-stopping is his specialty, but don't forget that he had 8 sacks in his final college season. He'll be able to bring the pressure up to the middle too. This guy will quickly put the league on notice. Jamon Davis. Like Pay and Barmore, this defensive player landed with the right coach, team, and defensive system. The Washington football team has prioritized the front 7 over these last few years. Young superstars like Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, and Darren Payne lead a fierce pass rush. It didn't take long for either of them to develop whatsoever, so why can't Washington get the same level of production out of Davis early on? Linebacker was a position of need for an otherwise near-flawless defense. The 6'3" linebacker is a tackling machine who stood out especially against the run. Pro Football Focus graded the Kentucky product an 87.5 in that category. Ron Rivera just knows how to develop his defensive players better than most other coaches. Washington is arguably the NFL's best defense, and Davis should be viewed as the cherry on top. He's going to take this unit to a whole new level, and don't discount him making some noise in the Defensive Rookie of the Year conversation. Penei Sewell, like Lawrence and Pitts at their respective positions. Sewell was regarded as a generational prospect at his. The Oregon offensive tackle sat out the entire 2020 season because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and yet that didn't quite hurt his draft value. Sewell would have been a top 3 or 5 pick most years. It just so happened that most of the teams picking ahead of the Detroit Lions really needed a quarterback. Sewell looks more than NFL ready, and he joins a Detroit team that quietly has one of the league's top offensive lines. This unit was ranked as the 10th best by PFF ahead of the 2021 season. He'll slot in nicely with Taylor Decker and Frank Ragnow. It usually takes offensive linemen longer to develop, but there are guys who succeeded right away. We're talking guys like Quentin Nelson, Tristan Wirfs, and Jack Conklin. And neither of those guys came into the league with as much hype behind them as Sewell. Aside from Lawrence and maybe Pitts, Sewell is the surest bet to succeed in this draft class. Pro Bowl and All-Pro nods as a rookie are very much up for grabs here. Micah Parsons. The Dallas Cowboys were happy to trade down from 10 to 12 with the Philadelphia Eagles. It worked out because they got the defensive player they needed in Penn State linebacker Micah Parsons. The 2019 Buckus Fitzgerald Linebacker of the Year joins a Dallas defense that underwent several changes following a disastrous season. One that saw them allow 29.6 points per game and 6,183 total yards of offense. Parsons opted out of the 2020 season, but he was still the undisputed top linebacker in this class. Over his 2 years at Penn State, Parsons racked up 191 tackles, 18 of them for a loss, and 6.5 sacks. He's the game changer that this defense needs. Leighton Vander Esch hasn't been able to stay healthy. DeMarcus Lawrence has regressed over the last 2 years. Jalen Smith's production is inconsistent. So new Cowboys DC Dan Quinn will largely want to build his game plan around Parsons' talents. He'll be dynamic in the pass rushing and run stopping areas, and the rest of the Dallas unit will feed off that. The Dallas defense can only improve in 2021, and Parsons is one of the main reasons why. Najee Harris. Given Ben Roethlisberger's age, injury history, and limited arm strength, the Pittsburgh Steelers really have no choice but to make Harris the engine of their offense. Easier said than done after seeing 3 of their starting offensive linemen leave this offseason. But Harris, who really turned heads in training camp, will surely find ways to make it work, like all good running backs do. Even if the Steelers' O-line struggles to produce quality run blocking for Harris, defenses still have a difficult time stopping the 6'2", 230-pounder. And of course, he'll do a large amount of his damage as a pass catcher. I mean, the Steelers' offense is largely designed around those short, quick throws. For the most part, we never liked the idea of taking a running back in the first round. But remember how much scarier the Pittsburgh offense was with Le'Veon Bell? Well, Harris might be even better, and the Steelers are going to feed him the ball time and time again, and he's going to wear out opposing defenses. This guy is a pretty safe bet to lead all rookies in total yards from scrimmage. Buy the hype. Devonta Smith. Smith was the 3rd receiver taken after Chase and Jalen Waddle. Aside from Smith's individual talents, we have 2 key reasons for believing that the Heisman Trophy winner will enter superstar status right away in 2021. For starters, the Eagles have a very thin receiving core outside of Smith. Secondly, he's reuniting with former Alabama teammate Jalen Hurts, so developing chemistry shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. Smith is going to be Hurts' go-to guy in this offense, not Dallas Goedert, Travis Fulgham, or sophomore Jalen Reagor. New Eagles coach Nick Sirianni, who served as Frank Reich's offensive coordinator in Indianapolis for 3 years, will keep the game plan simple. Get the ball to Speedy Smith as much as possible. He's a yards after the catch monster, and that goes together nicely with Hurts' incredible mobility and scrambling skills. The Eagles are in a rebuilding phase and not ready to contend just yet, but Hurts flourished in a short sample size and should do even better with a fresh voice calling the plays on offense. And now he has a true number 1 wideout to work with. You can argue that Chase and Waddle are better receivers than Smith, but Chase has to share targets with Boyd and Higgins, while Waddle will line up beside veteran standouts Devontae Parker and Will Fuller. So out of these 3 receivers, it seems like Smith has the best chance to lead the way in targets, as well as receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Eagles fans, you'll soon understand why Howie Roseman traded up to get Smith at number 10 overall, if you don't already. What other NFL rookies do you think are most likely to become superstars in 2021? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, we're on everything. Go subscribe, go follow. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes 1 click down below and subscribe to TPS. Post videos every day. Every day is a new video. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
On my knee.